Alright, so we've taken some time to clean up our parts here, and a couple things I want to show you that are areas of concern. When the thermostat is bad, this is called cavitation. First off, I'll give you a close-up. That's cavitation. That's why we were getting a seep leak, and it was coming right through here. You know, the sad thing is, I'm going to do the best I can to seal this, but in the end, we may be having to replace this whole housing, at least this cover if we can find it. If not, have to replace the whole thing. We're going to try to seal it and fix it first, but I want to go over cavitation for a minute. It's an interesting issue. If you guys have watched the news lately, you'll see that Oroville Dam destroyed because of cavitation. And what is it? You have to think of it kind of like two stages. Water is vapor, water is solid. Okay? So on one side of this, you have the cold water, and when the thermostat goes bad, you're pretty much, as soon as you start it, water starts flowing. As that water starts to heat up and flow through here, it starts hitting this and it starts bouncing bubbles. There's a certain temperature that when this thing is created at low pressure by the suction will actually drop to the point to where the molecules become bullets. And over time, it just starts eating at these covers. This is one of the worst cases of cavitations I've seen, you know, as far as my career goes in this industry. I mean, I've seen it elsewhere, but usually it's just down to the water pumps, and you know, you replace the water pump, good to go. Usually the blocks don't get it, but this is pretty severe. You don't see it on this side, and we've cleaned this up, of course. But yeah, this is one of those things. Is, you know, we're gonna do our best. There's no gasket for this. This is called a wet gasket. Pretty much, I have to do this in a prescribed manner again. I'm gonna basically build up an RTV layer. And this is an RTV only gasket. There is no Felpro out there. We tried to find it. The last time that a gasket was used on these were the 95, true 95 were non-OBD2 blocks. So I can't tell you if the cavitation is caused by, you know, thermostat being bad or someone put tap water in here. You know, I can't tell you that. You know, I can just tell you that if you don't do certain things, bad things do happen. And this is one of those cases that, you know, I think this is a combination of two things, bad thermostat and tap water. In your career as a technician, you'll see things, and there's some things that just shake your head, and you just, wow. And this is just one point. I mean, I can't fix this. There's no fix for this. You clean it up, you pretty much put it back to service, and, you know, maybe in 10 years this thing will have to go. Maybe it'll go next year. Maybe it'll last a week. There's no timetable. It's just one day it goes. So, all right. Well, let's get to it. I've sanded this as far as I can sand it without actually starting to take material off. The camera won't show it, but there's actually RH finish here where you can see the line of where they RTV'd it, plus the finish groove that's kind of at a arc. The arc is there, so the RTV has something to bed to, something to bite in, kind of like a foundation. So you want to be careful. I used 320 black sandpaper with WD-40, so I did not take the RH down. I did not take the line here down, so we should be able to seal this. Now, aside from this being bad, you know, if this thing's going to leak, it's going to be right here, and that, I can't stop. That's in physical part damage. So yeah, we're going to put the correct coolant in it, just distilled water, and that should stop this, plus the correct thermostat. As soon as this thing opens, it's hot water. It's not at a lower pressure because this is the suction side, and hopefully it should stop this. So we'll let you know if it comes back in. Make sure your surface is clean. This is one of the few times where I'll say you can use sandpaper, so it's okay as long as it's the black stuff. That's wet and dry sand only. Alright, at this point, I'm going to put the RTV on this side, and then I'm going to squeeze RTV in here too, so when the two come together, they become one. And then what I will do is I will lightly torque it and let it flash, and I'll wait to do the final torque till this stuff's almost cured, just so it builds that kind of bond gasket. This is the way I've done the way. It's almost like building a neoprene gasket. I want to try to make this one complete run all the way through. I'm going to take the access from my fingers and I'm going to put it into the groove on our mating cover plate. You really got to push it into that groove. Because that groove basically becomes the anchor on the wet gasket. Okay, we're going to give this a few minutes to tack. Okay, at this point, when you're looking at the flash time, it will look kind of cloudy when you're ready to put this together. Now this looks like a glopping mess, and I do agree with you, it is a glopping mess. But because there's no gasket available, and the way that Nissan on the 2.4 put this indented bead in, I mean, you have to do it this way. So it's not one of those things you have a choice of. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow it, let the weight sit on it. I'm going to push a little out. And put a couple bolts in it to hold it. Got to run these down by hand. And once you start seeing it squeeze out, that's when you got to stop for a sec. Because you got to give it time to build the layer this way when you bring the two together. And you'll see as it squishes out, that's where you want to stop. Because you do not want to over torque this and squeeze it all out. Now you can hear a little bit of air start to squeeze out. That's fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a light load of torque. Okay, as you can see, I'm letting the bolts slightly tighten themselves up as I bring this down. Now I'm not going to do the final torque yet until this actually has a little bit more cure on it. Because you need it to actually squish once it's cured a bit to actually get a good bond.
Well, it looks like you pushed it out quite a bit though.
I had to. Because it's got to get in those channels.
Well, these torques on these bolts are only like 3 pounds.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm using those.
Oh, I feel like you pushed it out way too far though.
You didn't see how much I put on. Okay, so for now I'm going to go take this inside and let it actually cure and warm up and do its thing, and then we'll come out and do the final torque. I may not do that till tomorrow. I need this stuff to become basically impregnated is kind of, I guess, the idea here when you're doing a wet gasket. Alright, once it's done, we'll get back to you on that. That's going to be part 2, reassembly and installation.